You are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the College Loop Podcast, episode 117 of the College Loop Podcast. Sorry, I confused myself when I first made the room and I put 118. Now I'm in my own head. I'm Dylan Larck at @YouWillTake on Twitter, and I'm joined here today by Mr. Harrison Tarr. Tarr, how you doing, buddy?
Doubleheader day, game 2 of our doubleheader of Dylan and I versus StreamYard and the College Loop listeners. So, yes, this is a second show we're recording this evening, and I am just as fired up as I was in the first one to talk Auburn, Georgia, because gosh knows we've not talked enough about it today, and it is Georgia Hate Week. Every week is Georgia Hate Week in my household.
Every nanosecond of every
waking
millisecond
and not
every
waking
second.
moment of the day is Georgia Hate Day. So let's get into it. Dylan, the title of this one is Who Needs to Have a Breakout Game for Auburn to Take Down Georgia? Now, you brought up a really funny comment right before the show that honorable mention Philip Montgomery. And I don't know that you're wrong.
I'm not.
That's a good place to start. How does Philip Montgomery have a breakout bounce back game against the University of Georgia, which is not a team you want to try to bounce back against?
Calls a good game. Actually, wait. Calls a average game. I will take that. Any step towards the right direction, I will take in a game where all seems lost on paper. But yeah, Phil Montgomery, if it doesn't work, I just don't think he should call plays anymore. I think that.
Oh, I think that's on the table. I think that's very much on the table right now.
I think Phil Montgomery might be a 1-year rental at this point now.
Yeah, what's wild to me is Philip Montgomery kind of alluding to this being a little bit of a challenge in terms of adopting to an RPO with the skill set that he's got. We're going to talk. Some of you guys brought up some really great points in the comments, and we've actually addressed every comment and almost every comment from last episode. We always try to deliver on those, but about the fit versus if it's Hugh's guy or if it's Philip's guy at quarterback, whatever. But like you had RG3. So, like, trying to not understanding the RPO, I'm not understanding that logic, or not believing in the RPO. I'm not understanding that logic either. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good place to start. Is Philip Montgomery needs to have he needs to play a game.
Did they run the RPO when RG3 was the Baylor?
No, but they ran a spread offense with a dual threat quarterback. Like, it's not that tremendously different.
Fair.
Tell me wrong.
I don't think you're wrong. I just think there was more shotgun formations with just like one running back, and I just think it was either they're gonna throw the ball deep or they're gonna just run it with RG3.
Maybe Auburn could break out the wing T this weekend. That works really well for like middle school teams.
Honestly, just line everybody up in the backfield and just push.
Just the Michigan I formation, and we'll just see how that goes from there.
the lowercase L formation.
That's right. So, Dylan, you and I both selected one player on each, I guess one player each for each side of the ball. And we're going to talk a little bit about who needs to step up in our opinions, or who needs to have a breakout game. I guess, in our opinion, way too early, most valuable player if they bring their A game, right? I'm going to let you open this one up on the offensive side of the ball, Dylan. And I think I know you're going with number 9, and that's fine. Let's talk about why.
Yeah, so earlier last week, I came across a graphic that was posted a few weeks ago. A quote by a guy who seemed pretty smart and received a lot of hate for the comment that he made. And it aged so wonderfully. Pull it back up. There it is. If Pate and Thorne gets right out of the College Station like he did at Cal, Robby Ashford would be taking the first snap versus Georgia. For some reason, Robby Ashford's not. At least from everything that we've heard, Robby Ashford would not be starting against Georgia. And I can't fathom why. It makes no logical sense, but I think Robby Ashford is going to be playing this game for the bulk of the game as a starting quarterback, and I think he's going to show everybody that he is going to be the starting quarterback for the remainder of the season, whether you like it or not. I'm looking at whoever you are on the other side.
We'll be looking at some more comments that won't agree with you. So
yeah, there's plenty that disagree with me, but there are a lot that agree with me, and I think it's just because the matter of Pate and Thorne cannot play football at a high level, especially against a team that has a decent defense. We saw that with Cal. Cal is a really decent defense, and in a borderline neutral site environment, he couldn't do it. Then we went to an away environment. He couldn't do it. I've yet to have seen him have 4 good quarters at home against opponents that aren't on Auburn's level. I don't see Pate Thorne making it out of the first quarter as Auburn's starting quarterback. And I think this one, Robbie Asher going to come in. I think the RPO is finally going to get back moving and schmoving all the way down the field for what it's worth and get some field goals, get hopefully some touchdowns against defense. But Robby Ashford, we talked about it with Owen. I forgot his last name already.
Warden.
Owen Warden. I know it started with a W. I almost called him Owen Wilson. That almost came out of my mouth. Wow. But yeah. Yeah, talk about Owen from the black and white or black and red.
Red and black.
Georgia colors are
pretty straightforward.
I could cut this part out. I talked about him, and he said the weak spot of this Georgia defense is their inability to shut down the quarterback run. And I got to be honest with everybody out there. Pate Thorne,
not it for that.
Not a threat to run. And at some instances, not a threat to pass. I think Robbie Ashford's going to step up big time whenever he gets in to start at quarterback, and he will be the remainder, as he will for the remainder of the games on the schedule. I
think that's one of the, I guess, solutions of all time. I'm not agreeing or disagreeing, but I agree. I do believe that Robbie Ashford's role and whatever that looks like is tremendously valuable. But I'm going to go with Brian Pate. And I say that because Brian Pate's shown a lot of promise. He looked great against Texas A&M. And if there were some bright spots, he was certainly one of them. And you look at a running back room that's now down Damari Alston, and a lot of people told me that Damari Alston was not on the same level as Jarquez Hunter. And you know what? This running back room's going to miss him. And I'm not wishing ill on anybody and saying, I'm just so glad that you're going to notice how much he's missed. No, because I don't want anybody injured. But there will be a noticeable, I guess, difference in packages for the running backs in this running back room now. It is an opportunity for Brian Pate to step up, an opportunity for Jeremiah Cobb, my honorable mention. I know that's another running back, but for those two guys to really split the load that should belong to Damari Alston of work. And I think that Brian Pate brings a lot of good things in the run game. We weren't sure early in the year how he was going to fit behind this offensive line. He didn't look all that sharp. And then it's like almost like the light bulb came on. And in the best way. And I've been patient. I think a lot of people have been patient with Brian Pate, and he's been kind of a pleasant surprise coming out of the backfield. I think that he adds a lot to that Auburn runs game, especially getting downhill in his shiftiness. I think that is something that, and against a defense that's not going to let you run the ball very much, I think that provides a much-needed switch up. It's almost similar to when Auburn had Sean Shivers that just ran significantly differently than Tank Bigsby. I mean, it's just not different, right? Like, it's the same principle, just different practice.
Add that to your College Loop random player of the episode bingo card, Sean Shivers. But yeah, I completely agree. Brian Pate, a guy who really stepped up against Texas A&M, one of the bright spots of what was a dead flashlight of the Auburn offense and Auburn in general. But I mean, Jeremiah Cobb, that red shirt has been burned. That thing is now just ash. Because Jeremiah Cobb is going to be a big spot of this offense. Well, honorable mention for me, Shane Hooks, a guy who needs to step up as a true target down the field. Rivaldo Fairweather is going to be this is going to be one of the few games this season where Rivaldo Fairweather is not going to be the best tight end on the field at any given time.
Right.
This is one of the few games. And here's the thing: the Georgia defense has a decent linebacker core, really good linebacker core at that. They're going to try to shut down Rivaldo Fairweather if they can. Auburn's going to need a reliable target to throw to outside of Rivaldo Fairweather.
Also, Rivaldo Fairweather may be most valuable in pass and run blocking and run protection this game. I'm not saying that he's not a tremendously valuable target for those that mid-level passing, but also at the same time, or the intermediate passing rather, his run blocking is going to be tremendously valuable because you've got an extra blocker. And that's what tight ends are going to have to be used for against Georgia. I'm not saying that Auburn's going to be able to effectively run the football, but they're going to have to try. I don't know that Auburn's going to be able to effectively do anything. They're going to have to try. Let's flip it over to the defensive side of the ball.
I would say one more guy that probably needs to be worth mentioning, Gunnar Britton.
Yeah, clean game. That's number one thing is clean game. You can't get behind the sticks against Georgia. You're already at a severe disadvantage. You're outmanned. You're out-talented. Let's just call a spade a spade. If you get yourself behind the sticks, you're not giving yourself an opportunity to be successful in whatever success looks like. And there's a lot of ways to define that. We talk about that with Owen on the pregame show that you guys will hear later in the week. about what success
tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow. Sorry, I'm telling you, this doubleheader thing's a grind.
We're both feeling it. We're both feeling it.
That's right. That's right. We're only 10 minutes into this one. Let's flip it over to the other side of the ball. I'm going to kick us off here. I'm going to go with Elijah McAllister, getting pressure to Carson Beck, and Elijah looked better last game. He looked stronger last game against Texas A&M. I'd like to see continued development on that front, continued development on the entire defensive front for that matter. But if Elijah McAllister can get to the quarterback and put pressure on Carson Beck in a hostile environment, in his true first hostile SEC road environment, then things can get weird and this game can get close. If he can record a sack and a half a sack, somewhere in there, you're in good shape in terms of you can hang your hat on. You've done everything that you possibly can. And if he steps up in a big way and records, let's say Elijah McAllister has 2 sacks on Saturday, that's big time. Getting Georgia behind the sticks is equally as important as keeping yourselves in front of it if you're Auburn on the offensive side of the ball. Your defensive player, impact player, Dylan, for the Auburn-Georgia clash on Saturday.
Yeah, I'm currently trying to find Georgia stats on the year. They have currently only allowed 4 sacks.
And if you can grab one, that's great.
Yeah, for sure. And it goes into my point. Auburn has allowed 12 sacks throughout the first 4 games of the season. 10 of those, of course, are on Pate and Thorne. And 7 of those are from the Texas A&M game? 6 of those? Yeah, lovely. Even more reason to my point. But yeah, you said Elijah McAllister. I completely agree. I'm just going to go a step inside of the defensive line. I'm going to go Marcus Harris. A guy who's been really good on this defensive line. He's going to have to play really, really, really good in order to get into this Georgia offensive line, who, as again, only allowed 4 sacks from the season. And I would only say 3 of those are during that in quarters that matter. If this defensive line is going to be a key factor for this defense, if they're not getting pressure on Carson Beck, it's going to be GG's. This Georgia team, not the best at running the ball. A Georgia team more I used to seeing. They don't run the ball very well like they used to. It's a Mike Bobo effect, if you will.
Yeah.
But they can still find ways to pass the ball. It helps that you have one of the best O-lines in the country. You have a wide receiver core full of 5 stars. And Carson Beck, for as average as a quarterback as he is accurate when it comes to getting the ball to playmakers. If this defensive line is not getting pressure on Carson Beck, it's going to be a tough day for this defense.
You know, and I think that what we've kind of gathered, we've named a lot of guys on the offensive side of the ball, and certainly you could continue to list the importance of Nehemiah Pritchett, Kindly, of the entire linebacking core stepping up in a big way. Eugene Asante obviously got to keep playing the brand of ball that he has been playing. Folks, let's get real for a second before we get into your comments, your questions. We're going to get to those here in just a moment. Well, in a second, because we're also going to tell you to buy the War Damn shirt. But before we get there, let's just level, and let's just make sure our expectations are tailored appropriately. And we will talk about this when you guys hear it tomorrow on the pregame show. Auburn, obviously coming into this game heavily undermanned, like I mentioned. Obviously coming out of in this game, severe underdogs. If they want to keep it close, they don't need 1. They're not going to need just 2. They're not going to need just 3. They're going to need 3 or 4 guys to have exceptionally good games. Everyone else has got to be on their P's and Q's, and they're going to need help. Georgia's got to make mistakes. You've got to force Georgia into mistakes, whether that be on the defensive side of the ball or the offensive side of the ball. It does not matter. You've got to force Georgia into making mistakes. The Jordan-Hare magic certainly can play to its benefit, but it only goes so far. Circa Penn State just a year ago. That was one of the loudest environments I've ever been in, and Auburn just got their shit pummeled because they were not on their P's and Q's and because they were outmatched, outmanned, and outclassed. So make sure we tailor those expectations. And remember, and we're going to talk about this again on Friday, Dylan, but there are ways to be successful in this game without winning. There are no moral victories in sports. I get that. There are tangible steps of improvement, and that starts with the quarterback play. That starts with Auburn's ability to limit penalties on the offensive line. It starts with getting pressure on the quarterback against one of the premier lines in America. The list just goes on and on and on. There are a lot of ways that Auburn can get a whole lot better on Saturday. And if they play to the best of their ability, you never know. Things can get weird. Sometimes you get a miracle. So make sure we tailor our expectations appropriately. Before we get into your questions, concerns, strongly held beliefs and demands. And trust me, you guys came at us with some of them. Great. We love it. Absolutely appreciate you guys giving us some content to talk about because we want to talk about what you guys want to talk about. So that's the best case scenario for us. Make sure, Dylan, everyone needs to go get, as Colin's calling it now, the War Damn shirt. Go pick it up on www.thewarreport.com. They're $25, come in 5 colorways. Most comfortable shirt you will ever own. The College Loop War Report Podcast Network co-branded Feelin' Loopy t-shirt. 10 out of 10 physicians recommend that you go purchase the shirt because you will feel better as soon as you get it. I promise you that. And more importantly, when you get the shirt, use hashtag Feelin' Loopy. I know Dylan will throw that on the screen for you. Hashtag Feelin' Loopy. That's FEELIN Loopy on Twitter.
Or feeling without the G.
Yeah, feeling without the G. Feeling Loopy. Put it on Twitter. Send us a selfie. DM it to us, whatever. We'll make sure we throw it up on our next stream, live stream, recording, whatever that may look like. Doubleheader like it is this evening. And we will feature you guys. We appreciate the ongoing support. Also, make sure you like, subscribe, and ring the bell right here on the College Loop YouTube channel if you're listening on YouTube. If you're not, give us 5 stars, thumbs up, whatever platform you listen to, whatever the good rating is. That's what we're great rating. That's what we're looking for. We appreciate you guys. Continue to give your comments and your questions in the comment section so we can continue to address those, and we will make sure we circle back to anything still applicable on Sunday. All right.
I will say, safe to mention, we forgot to mention earlier, Auburn needs to get healthy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Honestly, I am A-okay with Donovan Kaufman not playing this game.
I would be in the camp of keeping him out this game. Yes. All right. Let's get to your, and by your, I mean Loopers comments. So we're going to start right here with Michael B 2165, and this one's a little bit longer. So let me pull this up real quick on my iPad that I got next to me of the full comment so I can read this appropriately. It starts by saying, I'm old enough to remember when Auburn, Georgia was a cordial rivalry. It was every bit as intense as it is today. This was especially the case when Auburn head coach Pate, who attended Georgia and was there in Auburn for the Tigers, and Georgia head coach Vince Dooley, who attended Auburn and played for Auburn, was there for the Bulldogs. Okay, so this is obviously in reference to the comment that Hugh Freeze made, said that this is not, out of hate, this is out of love, whatever. Sure, if you were around, I'm not calling you old, not calling anybody old here. Dylan, I've never been around for a rivalry between Auburn and Georgia that's cordial. Have you?
Cordial means like they don't hate each other, right? Is that what I'm understanding?
Cordial means that like you can get along.
Oh, okay, so yeah, since I didn't know what that word meant, it's clear to say I'm not cordial with any rivalry that I'm a part of. I'm gonna go on and let you know I hate everybody. I'm just gonna go. If you're not Auburn, I probably hate you. That's as simple as that. There's some teams that are sprinkled in there that I like. Cincinnati. I do love my Cincinnati Bearcats. I do love my UTSA Runners. I love the Utes of Utah. I have teams sprinkled around all over the place that I like. But majority rules, I probably hate your team. Probably. And at the top of that list, it's Alabama and Georgia. I know you're just flip-flopped. I know. I understand. Yeah. You were born and raised a Tech fan, and then found your way into the Auburn fan base, and now you have double hatred for the Georgia Bulldogs.
Yep.
This rivalry has never been cordial in my lifetime. I have never liked Georgia. I hated them. I still hate them. That I don't like Bulldogs. If there's ever a dog that I've banned from being in my house, it's a Bulldog.
It's like a rare not good boy.
Yeah, it's just not a good-looking dog. Bully though at Mississippi State, that's a good-looking boy.
Pretty Bulldog, yes.
Texas A&M, pretty dog.
Yeah.
Ugly is an ugly dog. Ugly, fat dog.
Yeah, and also inbred. But anyways, let's also I'm going to throw this out there. This quote from Hugh that everyone's going to, there's a couple other people that mentioned this too, and we'll come back to it.
The context is key, though. I think
the context is key, but I will still stand by this, and I think everyone else in the show will stand by this. Hell, I know the rest of the War Report will. That's the softest shit he could have said. Don't say that.
Yeah,
don't.
I want a coach who's going to look at me and say, I hate Georgia.
Anyways. All right. So we've got Stephen Allen, 1237, saying, preach it, Dylan. Robby Ashford for QB1. All right. So keeping your tally of in your camp and the Robby Ashford camp. We've got Michael B again says that okay, this one's a good one. This is a really, really good one. I'm not hating on the first one from Michael B, by the way, and he's going to come back up here in just a moment, literally the next one. But I like this quote a lot. It's really long, and I'm just going to give the gist of it. I'm going to read the intro here. We have an opportunity, we being Auburn, here with this rebuild. Hugh Freeze is the guy to do this. He's been the head coach in the SEC and a successful one at that. He's a perfect cultural fit for Auburn. There will be plenty more dark days over the next few years, but Hugh Freeze's goal is to make Auburn a perennial contender. He goes on to, and I encourage all you guys to go back and read this one. I like this take a lot. And I say that because in the wake of the ass whooping that was the Texas A&M game, there have been a lot of people I've seen on Twitter and spoken to over the phone, text messages, whatever, about if Hugh Freeze is still the guy. One sticks out to me. A lifelong Auburn fan texted me after the A&M game and said, is this really what we're going to look like under what's supposed to be? And he used in quotes, an offensive mastermind and Hugh Freeze. Folks, this is your one. This is your one. And I know it feels like you just went through this. You did. And you went through the absolute shittiest example that you could have. It's tough. I get it. Hugh Freeze has a proven track record in the SEC, in the Southeastern Conference. He can recruit well. He's turned around a number of programs. He mentioned it earlier in the week that he's not a stranger to turning around programs, and there's a lot of validity in that. If we look back in a couple of years and Auburn's not taken tangible steps, then we can readdress and we can reevaluate. But I am with Michael firmly that there wasn't a better hire that you could make than Hugh Freeze at this point in time. And leaving all personal opinions about character aside, I don't know how anyone can look at Hugh Freeze and say that this was a bad hire for Auburn. It just doesn't make sense. And he's the only coach at Ole Miss to defeat Nick Saban. And he's done it. He did it twice at Ole Miss. And now you throw in NIL and you throw in the fact that he's still just as good of a recruiter, if not better than he ever was. I don't see it, Dylan. I don't see why people can't get behind that.
Yeah, and I don't understand the camp of we look bad now, so let's fire him now kind of thing. Like Mike Norvell at Florida State has been there for 4 years, and he survived another what can be a toxic fan base at Florida State. And he got through there. Now they're looking like they're going to be a contender for a few years, for years to come now. You got to be patient. I know I have had some Saturdays, mainly the last one, where I was like, okay, maybe it's time to fire a coordinator. But I've never been of this fire the coach, unless it's like a couple years in, maybe like 1.5. And there's no production on the team, and you're struggling to beat San Jose State at home, and you just basically, I'm saying the potato gave you a clean example of when you should fire a coach early on in the process of what they are building. But Hugh Freeze has established already he is wanting to build a perennial powerhouse in Auburn. It just takes time to do that. Georgia went from Mark Richt to Kirby Smart. That is not a drop-off. Auburn went from the latter half of Gus Malzahn to a giant drop-off that is the Marianas Trench of the Potato Man. And then Hugh Freeze is sitting there with a bucket of cement and bricks trying to build Auburn back up, and it takes time to do that. Don't fire a man because of one season where you didn't get a national championship. Not every season can turn out like 2013. Auburn, honestly, it was awesome that it happened. It was a little lucky that it happened. Mainly Trey Matthews, future Auburn Tiger, giving the ball up by trying to pick the ball out of his own teammate's hands that fell into Ricardo Lewis's hands. Very lucky that happened. And then Nick Saban just deciding, you know what, why not? Let's kick a 56-yard field goal and put only O linemen on the field whenever there's someone already back there. Those seasons don't happen. Auburn needs to give Hugh Freeze time to do that. 2024, expect a better season. 2025, expect contention.
Right. And I want to bring this back to the Georgia game for a second and explain how this is applicable here. Every single year up until now and until next year, which obviously we actually talked about this before the show, this is the last annual installment of the Deep South's oldest rivalry until we figured that out, because I don't love that Auburn and Georgia won't be playing every year. That's neither here nor there. But when it comes to rivalry games like this, like Georgia, like Bama, like LSU, when your competitors are light years ahead of you, it is unjust to your new head coach being Hugh Freeze. It is unjust to the athletes that have committed to Auburn and that are putting in the work to do what everybody now agrees that they're actually doing everything that they can to progress and play the best brand of football they can be. And you're doing yourself a disservice by jumping off the rails when Auburn inevitably gets their butts handed to them on Saturday. And we'll talk about it in our predictions about where things stand. I don't particularly think this game will be close. Georgia is, under Kirby Smart, the gold standard of college football. And you cannot expect for under 1 year, not even a complete offseason under Hugh Freeze, for Auburn to be there yet. You can't expect for them to be there next year either, solely because the guys that they're bringing in are so dang young. And I know the transfer portal makes things expedited. I understand that, and I'm bringing that in. But losing a game to a team like an A&M that you think that you could have competed with and you being frustrated is fine. It's okay to be frustrated. Starting to point blame after losing a game like that, and then some of you guys are going to go off the rails on Saturday even, if and when Auburn gets their ass handed to them. They will. People will. It's unrealistic and unfair to everyone involved. It's unfair to me and Dylan sitting here on the College Loop having to tell you guys that that's unfair. Like there's no one that wins there. If this was year 3 and Auburn's still getting their butts handed to them, I'd be listening to you and we'd be talking about it. It's year 1. It's game 5, right? I've had to ask that twice today.
It's week 5.
Whole season's a blur.
Bye week next week. Don't worry. Yeah.
God, I need it so bad. But that's my 2 cents worth on that. I'm going to jump down. I know Michael B mentioned something else. We're going to jump down and go a little bit further here. And we're going to talk from AUTK, which would probably mean, Auburn University something would be my guess, like someone's initials. Okay. An answer to the question posed in the description, it looks like winning. Now, the question posed in the description is, what does a Robby Ashford-led offense look like versus Georgia? She said that he or she said, in answer to the question posed in the description, it looks like winning. Afraid we waste a quarter more with the SOS first, though. SOS first. I don't know exactly what that means. And that changes the entire possibilities. I'm assuming
that means save our ships or save our souls, right?
Right. Yeah, but I'm not entirely sure how that plays in, but I understood the context. Dylan, if Auburn
could they mean POS?
That could have also been on the table. I'm not entirely sure. If Auburn plays Peyton Thorne and rides with Peyton Thorne for an entire quarter and he's not playing well, there's no way Auburn's even close, right?
No. I don't think Peyton Thorne goes into that second drive as a starting quarterback if the first drive does not go well. I think this leash that he is going to be on against Georgia is so microscopically small that it's not even worth just like thinking about putting him in. I have heard some people say that Robbie might be hurt from the A&M game, so maybe they're just like, I'm like, why not? Why wouldn't he be hurt? Right. Because everyone else is. But if Robbie's not hurt, if Robbie is 100%, Robbie Asher is going to be playing in the first quarter, and he'll be playing in the second quarter. He'll be playing in the third quarter. He'll be playing in the fourth quarter, and then he'll go into that bye week as a starting quarterback, and he'll go into the LSU game as a starting quarterback, and Mississippi State and Mississippi Ole Miss. Back, reverse it.
Moving forward, this is another question for you, Dylan. What do you guys think of Josh Pate coming to the Plains this week? Also, what is your opinion on his take that Auburn will bounce back and possibly make it a game this week?
I am a big fan of Josh Pate. I think he's, when it comes to college football podcasters, besides the College Loop, of course, I think he's one of the best. And I say that out of complete love. I think Josh Pate is like on top of the college football podcast right now. But him coming to Auburn is unexpected, really. He came around the last 2 games he went to, which were, who was the other one? Once Upon a Saturday Tour they went to Ohio State and Notre Dame last week. And oh my Lord, I cannot believe that I am forgetting it. I listen to his show literally every day. It's bothering me.
Yeah.
But the last 2 games that he's went to, the game ended on a last second play.
Also, if that happens, by the way, advantage Auburn.
He went, oh my God, where did he go week 3? I'm going to lose my
While
mind.
you're figuring that out, I'll read this one out. This is from Jeremiah Hessick, 1729. Just a little shout out to you, Dylan. Also, Dylan, I've been following you since your SEC FB News page was started. Crazy to see how far it's come. Well, we're happy to have you over here at the Loop. Dylan's
Colorado State, Colorado. Yeah, Jeremiah. Jeremiah. I made sure I was looking over here at ESPN while trying to listen. Yeah, I appreciate that, dude. That page has done me so many wonders throughout my almost 7 years that I had it. Been running that page since I was a junior in high school. Taught me everything I need to know by myself. I had to make graphics and everything. I don't understand Photoshop, but if you tell me how to do something in PixArt and Canva, I know how to do it. But yeah, I love that you've been following SC football news, and then now you're following the College Loop. That's awesome. But to go back to Michael B's question about, or AUTK's about,
sorry,
about the Josh Pate, Jeremiah. Oh yeah, Jeremiah's question.
I get it.
It's Jeremiah. Yeah, back-to-back weeks, Colorado State and Colorado, and then Ohio State, Notre Dame. Back-to-back weeks where it finished on the last second of the game. Wasn't an upset, so maybe just last second for Georgia, but that'd be stupid. I think Auburn can bounce back. I made a prediction for the tomorrow show.
Yeah.
That was a little different than the other two. I think there's a chance Auburn can stay in this game for a little bit longer than people give them credit for, strictly because it's in Jordan Hare. I'm not very high on Georgia this year. I think they're still good. I just don't think that they're the caliber they have been over the past 2 years.
Sure.
I think if Auburn can figure something out offensively, whether that if Pate and Thorne goes out and balls out, then sure. I don't think it's possible, but I think Robby Ashford can go in there and mess up Georgia's defensive not prowess, but their momentum, and kind of keep it close. If Auburn can get pressure on that quarterback, that also is going to make it very weird.
Well, I'm going to skip over one question we've got, and we'll come back to it. Come see 1752 says Robby Asher is not the answer. He had a full season at starting quarterback, which is not true, and still makes the stupid bonehead throw back across your body into triple coverage. Go ahead.
Oh boy, you okay? Come see 1752. Let me go ahead and let you know something. One bonehead throw, you were mounting that to the other bonehead throws made by Pate and Thorne. That's crazy to me. Because last time I checked, Robby Ashford played the best of the three quarterbacks in the A&M. Right as that, whether that matters or not, he threw on target against A&M. There was one throw where he got lost on him. I have not seen anything this year that has told me Robby Ashford is not the better thrower than Pate and Thorne. And here's the thing: this comes up every time someone comments something stupid like this. Why does Robby Asher not get the benefit of the doubt? I don't care that I know you mentioned he's the quarterback, so he gets more of a microscope on him. But how come it's everyone else's fault? It's Brian Harsin's fault for everybody last year who didn't play well. But Robby Ashford is his own fault. That makes no sense to me.
I was just gonna let you cook. I echo where you're at. I'm with you. Also, I'm sorry to say this, but that's he not the answer. Had a full season at starting quarterback. Bullshit. No, he didn't.
He didn't play like 4 games.
That's objectively just not true.
Also, who's Robby Ashford with IE? I don't know Robby Ashford with IE.
Mike McKinney, 59. This is an interesting take that I don't think a lot of people talk about. Actually, I think Robbie. They said I think Robbie is Hugh Freeze's guy. Montgomery likes Thorne. That's the problem. I will be transparent. I will be completely transparent, open, and honest, as I always am with you guys here on the College Loop. I have absolutely no sources. I have nothing that has said that to me that has made me believe that is the case. But at the same time, and I'm going to throw it back up on the screen so people that are popping and watching the stream and looking over can get the reference. This would not surprise me. I would not be just shocked. But at the same time, I don't feel comfortable even pretending like I know that that's on the table. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it just comes down to the fact that, if it's coach speak, it's coach speak. But if it's not, it means something. Freeze has been very adamant that Pate and Thorne has the job, but not by a large margin. Right. It's both Holden and Robbie nipping at the heels of Pate and Thorne. If that has any legitimacy to it, outside of the mind of Mike McKinney, then that's a problem within the coordinator and the head coach.
Which also means Philip Montgomery should not be on staff. Truthfully. I think that Mike McKinney brings up a good question. I'm not Mike. I'm not saying that you're crazy for thinking that. We don't have footing to say that comfortably.
But I do like the idea of the three-headed monster that is me, Mama Ashford, and Coach Freeze all on the Robbie hype train.
Last question we got from our group. We're just gonna roll with this one, and we're gonna move on to some other sports here. Chunky Golfer said, "What will Auburn's running back room look like next week with Alston out?" That is a great question. And I mentioned it earlier. I do think that means Brian Pate has a bigger role. I think he should have a bigger role. It's Jeremiah Cobb time. It is, and Jeremiah Cobb, in my opinion, fits into that. Damari Alston role a little bit better. A lot better than Brian Pate, but that doesn't mean that they shouldn't be using the three-headed monster, not to recycle what you just said, of what they've got left available. I still think that Auburn's running back room very much intact, but if you're curious, if the question here is touches-wise, I think it goes, could be crazy, I think it goes Jarquez, Brian Pate, Jeremiah Cobb. Now, if Cobb's running the ball physically and moving the ball well, that can shift. And if Jarquez is getting stuff, those things can change around. A lot of it's going to be early onset trial and error. And first off, Auburn's got to commit to running the damn football, something that they weren't able to do against A&M. So there's a lot of this is it's a fantastic question.
Yeah,
because
honestly,
I'm not sure.
Looking at what you said, I think Pate actually gets more touches because I think Pate adds another element to the pass game than any of the other running backs.
As a check down receiving running back.
But I mean, even looking at if you just have the two guys just running Pate and Hunter the most, I mean, you could look at a tandem, not on the same level, but of the same usage as Cadillac and Ronnie.
Yeah.
Jarquez is a bigger back than Brian Pate. You're more of a bruiser kind of thing. He's fast, but he is more of the type that's going to try to run you over rather than juke you out.
Right.
Brian Pate, on the other hand,
finesse.
Finesse is key. And Brian Pate, and one thing that annoys me is this happened so much. I don't understand. It's just an Auburn thing. It's other schools thing, but I see it more with Auburn just because I watch them more. How come I always find one play during any game where I watch Auburn speedback get put on a halfback dive up the middle of the lines?
No idea.
I saw Brian Pate get put up in the middle, and then Auburn lost a yard. I'm like, why are we putting Brian Pate around up the middle?
Yeah, why is he not running down?
Where's Jarquez? Jeremiah Cobb, I think, would be a better up the middle back. Sean Jackson, who averaged 31 yards a carry against Texas A&M. So why wasn't he put up the middle? It baffles me. I wonder, in Philip Montgomery's mind, if Peyton Thorne's his guy, Brian Pate's the power back. And to Coach Freeze, he's the speed back.
Maybe
mix everything up.
Yeah, I guess so. Other news around Auburn, nothing crazy going on right now. We've had a busy week of content, so we've been keeping people pretty informed. If you're looking for something to do this weekend and you're in town for the Auburn Georgia game, there are plenty of opportunities to go support very talented, on the rise, buy stock now Auburn sports. It starts on on Friday night. Auburn soccer will host. They're now number 15 when our graphic comes out on Friday. I apologize sincerely. It's going to say number 7. South Carolina did drop drastically in the rankings. I'm sorry. That literally happened today. But they're hosting number 15 South Carolina at the Auburn Soccer Complex on Friday night at 6:30 p.m. Central Time. Put the Gamecocks on upset alert. Auburn had a fantastic showing and a draw against Ole Miss earlier in the week, but playing good defense now. Just finding the back of the goal is the key, as Colin Beyersdorf mentioned earlier in the week. For Karen Hoppa's squad. Volleyball, if you want to make it an all-out UGA hate weekend, and we mentioned this at the beginning of the show, every weekend here is UGA hate weekend. You can go watch volleyball take on UGA on Sunday afternoon. I believe that game is actually kind of late. I think it's like 2 or 3 p.m. Central, or that match. But Auburn volleyball is on the rise. They took on Arkansas last night. Tonight, as we're recording, actually, they haven't even played yet as we're recording.
Oh, no, as we're recording, they're in the second set.
Did they win the first set?
No.
Okay. Well, they're down 1-0 at the time of recording of this show. So either they won or they lost that one. Either way, I can confidently say it was close regardless because Auburn is on the rise, even though they're very young, as Colin mentioned. Brent Crouch got that team absolutely humming, doing a lot of good things over there. couple ways you guys can support us. And I know that this is usually a Colin Beyersdorf job, but he and Daniel Locke had college student obligations, and Dylan and I, as majority shareholders, had to step up and pull the doubleheader this evening. Happy to do it. Always happy to be here. First way, Dylan, can you throw the War Damn shirt on the screen for me real quick?
Yeah, just want to go let you know before Auburn just lost the second set.
Okay, well, they're down 2-0. So that's going really well.
And there's a shirt.
There's the War Damn shirt. Your very own Feelin' Loopy t-shirt. You can get one for $25 at thewarreport.com. Don't feel like putting it in the search bar? Yeah, me either. You can just click on the link in any of our descriptions on wherever you're streaming our show, whether that be YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, the works. 5 colorways, most comfortable shirt you'll ever own. College Loop War Report Podcast Network, co-branded Feelin' Loopy t-shirt. Pick up your shirt. Use hashtag Feelin' Loopy. Tweet at us. We'll throw it up on the stream. Happy to do it anytime. You guys are the reason. Also, the biggest and easiest way, and it's free. It's 100% free. Easiest way that you guys can support us is hitting the subscribe button. We are a week and a half out from us starving Colin again until we get to our next benchmark, which is actually going to be, we said 700. I'm kind of feeling 750. I kind of want Colin's on a cut right now. So we'll do what we can. No, if you guys want to support us, we really appreciate it. If you guys would like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Just subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, like the video, comment your thoughts. Give us your score predictions for this weekend. Make sure you tell us where you think we're wrong. You guys are going to do it anyways. And we appreciate that because all of your feedback is good feedback. We want to talk about what you guys want to talk about. And it is the number one way to support our channel. And it's completely free. So thank you guys so much for everything you continue to do. I'm Harrison Tarr, by Harrison Tarr on the Bird app and on Instagram if you want to come hang out for whatever reason. I've never plugged that before, but here I am. I've plugged Threads, but not Instagram. Make sure you come hang out with us. Dylan will tell you where to find the rest of our show everywhere else. Dylan, let's go to sleep.
Yep, and of course, happy belated birthday to Coach Hugh Freeze.
Coach Hugh Freeze, yeah, that's right.
We're recording this on his birthday. It's coming out the day after. So
that's right.
Throw that out there real quick. But yeah, I'm Dylan Larck at Your Boy the Tank on Twitter/X. @ReaderX. It's just right there at Your Boy the Tank. I just follow me on Instagram at Dylan Larck, DYLANLARCK. And you can follow us on the College Loop. You literally have us everywhere: Twitter, X, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and right here on YouTube, where you should like, comment, subscribe, leave your thoughts about the Georgia game. Do you think Auburn can win? Why would they win? Is it with Pate and Thorne? Is it with Robby Ashford? Who needs to step up the most for the Auburn Tigers against Georgia? And of course, if you want to hear the audio version of the show, I completely understand. I'd get tired of seeing Tar's face as well.
I get tired of seeing yours.
Not as much as I get tired of yours. Can't
lie.
But, of course, you would have us on Spotify, Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Amazon Music. And, of course, with all of that being said, this has been the College Loop Podcast.